The Charlotte Ledger Podcast is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Charlotte Ledger Podcast. I'm Steve Dunn. To find out more about the Charlotte Ledger, visit thecharlotteledger.com. I'm joined today by Lou Donald, founder and owner of Sweet Lew's BBQ, which sells authentic North Carolina barbecue, and co-founder and owner of the Carolina Barbecue Festival. Welcome, Lou.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Are you Sweet Lew?
I am Sweet Lew.
How long did you have that name, and where'd you get it?
Oh, man. So, unfortunately, my fiance, she doesn't care for this story too much, but I actually got it when I was in church camp when I was like 9 or 10 years old. So it goes way back. I didn't carry it forward until about 10 years ago. One of my buddies started calling me Sweet Lew, and it really worked out. So when we looked at a barbecue joint, Sweet Lew's Barbecue.
Well, it's you're located in the Belmont neighborhood of Charlotte at 923 Belmont Avenue, and you opened in 2018. And I wonder, as someone who's launching a new business and starting a restaurant business, you're not only starting a new business venture, but you're also stepping into a whole culture that exists around not just the Carolinas, but other parts of the country as well, around barbecue. And I wonder how you think about how Sweet Lew's fits into the barbecue world.
Wow, that's a big question. Yes. So the barbecue world is huge. We all know and we all talk about Texas, with brisket and who they are. And then, North Carolina with the whole hog and the Lexington-style shoulders and all this kind of stuff. The culture is kind of what drew me to barbecue. The blue-collar guys just getting in, getting dirty, cooking food every day, and then the customers as well. We meet all walks of life in our customers. We're not a suit and tie kind of place, right? And, we're super kid-friendly, so everybody comes and hangs out. And we just make memories over smoked meats. The barbecue culture is a tough thing. And, where Sweet Lew's fits in, where I would like them to fit in is, the barbecue joint thought of in Charlotte, North Carolina, right? Of course. But I think what we are trying to do is push North Carolina barbecue forward and continue the narrative. Because, Texas is a big state, has a lot of barbecue joints. We all talk about Austin and Lockhart and even Houston. There's just a lot of barbecue out there and a lot of people talking about it. We need more people talking about North Carolina barbecue.
Well, Texas has got its style. St. Louis has got a way of doing things. Kansas City considers itself to be a great center of the barbecue in its own way. North Carolina, even within the state of North Carolina, there's regional differences. Is what we might call the Eastern versus the Western North Carolina style. South Carolina has its own spin on things. And I wonder, with geographically or categorically, sort of what are you selling at Sweet Lew's?
So what we try and do is kind of what I call the hodgepodge. So we want to make it familiar to everybody that is from here. So we do pay homage to South Carolina. We do South Carolina hash and rice, which is their kind of like Brunswick stew dish. Very different, but to them, very important. We do a mustard sauce, but then we do whole shoulders, which is more Lexington style, chopped obviously. And we also do both coleslaws.
Ah, okay. So when you say both, we're talking about, there's a red. Yeah. And is red white? Is that how you talk about it?
Red and white.
Yeah. Okay.
So we do the red, the ketchup, vinegar-based barbecue slaws, most people call it.
That's my favorite, by the way. That's my preferred.
It's
between the two.
Delicious.
Yeah.
It's almost, you don't need any sauce. That's what I love about it.
Right.
And then we do the sweeter white base slaw like you would find in Eastern Carolina.
What do you sell the most of? Meat-wise?
In the slaws? Meat-wise? Pork for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But brisket is a very close second.
Okay. So you have brisket too. You've also got some sausages, and you make those.
We make sausage.
Yeah. Yep. How'd you learn to do that?
Well, that's an interesting question. So I am a classically trained chef. So my prior life, as I like to call it, I was in country clubs, resorts. I did one of my apprenticeships at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. So that's kind of where some of my ability to run a restaurant came from, right? I had been doing it for 20 years before I opened Sweet Lew's.
And is sausage, is that part of your training? Or is that something that
for sure.
Okay.
Oh,
Gotcha.
yeah.
So in your approach to barbecue then, do you consider it like elevated in any sort of way, or are you intentionally trying to keep it within its roots?
That's more the goal right there.
Yeah.
We want to keep it simple. We don't want to be trendy. We don't want to be elevated to, tableside service, wine list, cocktail list. That's not who we are. We want to be comfortable. We want to be priced right. We want to be approachable. We want, you come in and the expectation is smoked meats and sides.
It seems like when you're opening a place and you're entering a world that existed long before us and will be here long after us, you're becoming a part of a tradition. It seems like that offers a lot of advantages in the sense you got a ready-made audience. You got people who love your product before they even know what it is. They just know the category and they know that they like it. Mm-hmm. And so you probably got a bunch of people that are going to come and give it a try. But on the other hand, it could be limiting in the sense that you got people with a bunch of expectations and the ways that they like things. And there's this kind of competitive culture around it. People are like argue vociferously about what's good and what's bad and who's better and all that.
Well, there's a lot of sayings there. And I think, you are right. We are a small cog in a big wheel barbecue, right? And so for that, we just try and continuously put out the same product. We cook with all wood, no gas or electricity. That's how barbecue started. That's how it should be. That's how it should end. But, there's a lot of sayings in there as well. We're not trying to compete with your memory of a church camp barbecue, right? That's very different. We're trying to give that to you today with what we serve, if that makes sense, and create a new memory. We're also, there's the old adage, good barbecue ain't cheap and cheap barbecue ain't good, right? So you compete with that as well. Because there's a lot of people out there that sell $3.50 barbecue sandwiches. Good on them, great for them. If that's your favorite barbecue in town, I'm not going to argue with that, but I don't charge $3.50 for a barbecue sandwich. I went from country clubs, which are great environments. I loved working in country clubs and the families and, all the holidays and traditions. But I went from a very finicky, opinionated job, if you will, to probably one of the most highly scrutinized food categories in today's world. Not the best decision. No.
Well, how's it been? You opened in 2018, right? We're sitting here now. How's it going?
I love it. Yeah. I love every day. I've never had a bad day. And I couldn't say that 10 years ago.
What was your experience with barbecue before you opened Sweet Lew's?
Limited. We did a lot at the Greenbrier when I was an apprentice there. So I was there from 2005 to 2008. So we did a lot of barbecue there, and that's when I got introduced to what barbecue is. I'm just a kid from Cleveland, Ohio. So a barbecue to me was a gas grill, hamburgers,
and hot dogs on the grill. Yeah, right.
Right. I mean, and that's, unfortunately, that's how I lived my life until I found, pork shoulder and brisket and ribs and all that kind of stuff. So my prior experience was quite limited, but I applied a lot of my culinary training to these items. Did a lot of research. I've got some great friends that are in the business, so I leaned on them a lot, especially early, and still now today, we all lean on each other, which is part of that culture.
What was the chicken and egg between deciding to open your own restaurant and deciding that it would be a barbecue restaurant? Like, did you set in going into business and I want to have a barbecue place, or did you go in thinking I want to have a restaurant and I'm going to choose to make it a barbecue restaurant because I think that's going to work for whatever reason?
That's a great question. So the first was I've always wanted to own a restaurant.
Yeah.
So even as a 22-year-old cook, working for people and learning and doing things, and Food Network was huge. The internet was not as big, right? So there was just a lot more reading and a lot more, Michelin stars, James Beard. I hate to do this, but the Baird, those are the kitchens I grew up in. And those are the kitchens that, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now because I can't wait to watch it. So I've always wanted a restaurant.
Well, let's talk about it. All right. So The Bear is, that's interesting. All right. So The Bear is this show. It's on Hulu or it's on one of the streaming networks. And the premise of the show is that this guy, he's a classically trained chef who worked in some of the finest restaurants in the world.
Yes.
And he comes back home to Chicago and he goes back to the family Italian beef place, right? And then he turns this family business. He gets them serious about the preparation of the Italian beef sandwiches and the stuff that they're making, and then he eventually turns it into like a fine dining.
Yeah,
restaurant.
I mean, he went from all the way from the knife cuts to the station organization to proper cooking and hot holding. It just soup to nuts. He reinvented the Italian beef restaurant.
Now, your journey is kind of the opposite in a way, right? Because you were doing fine dining stuff, and then you opened the place and kind of went the casual direction with it, sort of keeping it simple. But what I'm hearing you say is that you're bringing some of the same ethics, some of the same techniques, certainly the attention to detail, the focus on quality and service in terms of what service means in a place like that to what you're doing now.
Which is a good, and I don't think I've said this many times, but our service, we're counter service, right? So you see episodes of The Bear with the printer running and all this, and everybody goes, yeah, that makes me insane still. So we don't have printers. It's all just voice call, and, the customer's right in front of you, so it's a lot easier. They're pretty much, once they go through the line, they have their food, right? So there's no table numbers, there's no food runners, there's no any bus boys. We don't have any of that. So
you've really stripped it down in a lot of ways. So does then the focus of your attention really turn to the food itself?
That's all we have to focus on.
And that would you say that's the key to sort of the secret sauce to, I guess the secret sauce is the phrase that you literally have sauce.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Yeah, right. I mean,
that's the
key, that distilled focus kind of makes it what it is, right?
And part of that, 22-year-old me wanting to open a restaurant versus 38-year-old me wanting to open a restaurant. We're two very different people. And I know that the food is the most important thing, right? So how can I control, and I know this makes me sound bad, but how can I control that? I had to, like you said, block everything else out. So take all that stuff away, become just a simple counter service, tons of catering, call us up, pounds of meat, bags of buns, quarts of slaw. That's who we are. And it's just simple.
You didn't have a ton of experience in barbecue before opening your own spot. I imagine then you've learned a lot since 2018. I imagine you learned a lot about the food itself. What's that been like?
Yeah. Now, the side dishes are the side dishes. Collard greens, mac and cheese. The sauces were the sauces.
You do boiled peanuts. Not everybody does that.
It's a nostalgic type thing. We like to do it just because it's kind of I haven't had those since I was a kid. Or it's people that are traveling to Charlotte, which we're seeing a lot of nowadays, that are like, boiled peanuts, what are those? Give them a shot. So it's just kind of fun and it's simple.
But the techniques that continue to reveal themselves and have depth over time, sounds like that's with respect to the meats.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I would say the way that I cook brisket today is not the way I cooked it when I opened. I am still very intent, call me Chick-fil-A Junior, but we brine all of our poultry. Whether it's turkey breasts, chicken wings, half chickens, all that's brined. And that's because of the cook and understanding how meats work. The pork shoulder, I would say, is probably exactly the same as it was day one, because it's salt, pepper, and smoke. And then the ribs have developed over time. I could just tell you in the last year, our grind on our rub that we make, we grind it a little bit finer than we used to. Makes a little bit more of a difference, releases more of the spices. And then some of our holding preparations with, some apple juice and, stuff like that, just to hold the moisture. But other than that, we just try and keep it, we want it to be the same as it was, but better, right? So we don't try and change too much.
So what's the Belmont neighborhood been like for you? Because you're kind of right there in this like residential neighborhood.
Oh yeah,
it's a neighborhood that has been in transition. It's sort of it's located kind of between Plaza Midwood and Uptown, right? It's
Yeah.
And it's one of those places where like every time I thought about buying a house there, I regret that I didn't do it. You know what I mean? Because it seems to be like just blown up in terms of popularity. And I imagine that it is that you got some folks that are your neighbors who treasure Sweet Lew's as a place that's not just good for food, but it's also like a part of the community there. And I wonder just what it's been like being there since 2018.
Well, and that was part of why we went there. Growing up for me, I lived in a small neighborhood, and, there was, and I distinctly remember it. It was a candy shop, kind of a convenience store, if you will, that, you get your allowance, you ride your bike up there, you get some candy and ice cream and ride home. Now, we're not that, but we are a restaurant in the middle of a neighborhood. We have, the city buses drive by. We have school bus stops right in front of us. We have the Salvation Army with the Boys and Girls Club right next to us. So we are integrated into this community of people that I think is very special. And I think, it has been in transition. I don't think it's transitioned 30% from what it was when I got there in 2018, which is great. We don't want it to typical Charlotte fashion, knock everything down and build new.
Yeah, you don't want to lose its sense of place and
Correct.
its character, just to become an undescribable sort of generic kind of place.
Yeah.
But the presence of Sweet Lew's there is part of what holds it together, right? I mean, isn't that like one of the things that makes it what it is?
I mean, let's see, we have myself, and then we have Ace Burgers on the other corner. We have Bloom and Bottle across the street. We have the Animal Vet. We have Abari right around the corner. So we're really the only businesses you can count, like that Catawba building with like some co-working space.
People got to know you're there, though, right? Like, there's no
You gotta know
you're
we're
not
there.
on a major road. Like, people have to kind of. So, how is that for you? How have you found like people's ability to find you? In one sense, people look for barbecue places,
Correct.
right? Like, so there are people out there who are like barbecue lovers who are going to try
Good travelers.
every one. Yeah, they'll go. And they're going to, if they visit Charlotte, they're going to ask around, like, where should I go? And Sweet Lew's is going to come up, right? And,
Well, and the internet and
Yep.
Instagram, all that kind of stuff. But being off the beaten path, it's fun because we try and talk to as many customers as we can, and, just say, hey, where are you from? Because we get a lot of travelers, which is cool. I think it's great for Charlotte. It's obviously great for us that, we're a destination for them. The customers that come through, and I'm always like, hey, welcome to Sweet Lew's, first time here. That's kind of like our opener. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, where are you from? And they're like, oh, we just live, 2 miles down the road. It's like, dude, we've been here 6 years. What took so long? Because they don't know we're here.
right.
It's crazy to me, the amount of people that have no clue we're there, that live in Plaza Midwood.
Right. Well, you yourself came to Charlotte in 2008. You're a classically trained chef. You've worked for others and you work for yourself. You've learned a lot. You've been through a lot, ups and downs. What does the future hold for you? What do you, whether from a personal or a business standpoint, like, what do you see? What do you do? What do you have left to accomplish, or what do you see yourself doing as time goes by?
I think the biggest accomplishment to have would be to have some longevity to the restaurant, because that speaks volumes. The restaurant industry is not easy. The failure rate's high.
How's it going now?
I mean, we're still here paying the bills.
Yeah, there you go. Oh,
You know.
that's pretty good.
I mean, that's, yeah. There's always options on the plate to expand, or maybe open another location, or expand our current footprint. It's just all about supply and demand. And, then it goes down the line with, construction costs and staffing. Right. But I think, I don't look that far ahead. So I'm always working about 10 days out.
There you
What
go.
do I got going for the next 10 days? Because there's just too much, and you never know. I think COVID kind of taught us that, like, you never know. There could be a real estate correction in the next 2 years where, rent rates change dramatically, and now you can open up 5 Sweet Lew's. I don't know. No, don't smile, but I don't know.
Do it. You got one, right? You got one now. And,
or you could open 2 more and sell it.
Yeah.
But so there's a lot of angles, right? I think my goal as barbecue business owner and Carolina Barbecue Festival is to just grow the narrative of North Carolina and South Carolina barbecue.
I'm glad you mentioned the festival because I fully intended to ask you about it and I forgot.
It's all good.
Let's talk about it. I mean, so it's an annual event, right? Mm-hmm. It's uptown. You bring in barbecue makers,
pit masters.
Pit masters, yes. Yeah. Pit masters from all around, like from all over the region, or where do people come from?
Well, we're going to say this loud and proud, even though I'm not supposed to, but any pitmaster qualifies that's not from Texas.
Why?
Well, because I think, North Carolina barbecue, the East Coast any barbecue outside of Texas, if you look at it from a business, Texas Monthly, right? They come out with their list of the top 50 every 3 years. Every other year, they come out with a couple other lists. We don't really have some lists over here, right? We don't have lists that change much. We don't have lists that continue to push forward in barbecue for, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, the southern states, if you will. I would like to use the Carolina Barbecue Festival as a platform to continue to push not only the old, but the new.
All right, what does it mean to push it forward? Are we talking about techniques or flavors or
just the narrative?
Yeah.
When we do the barbecue festival, we build brick pits. People are cooking whole hogs on brick pits. We have people cooking brisket. We have people cooking ribs.
Okay, so the festival is uptown. Is it a weekend?
Yeah, we do it 2 nights, Friday night and Saturday.
Usually in April?
Yep. Usually in April.
And so people set up pits on the street? Is it out?
We take over Victoria Yards on 7th Street, and we take over a parking lot.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. Right. And so is it the type of thing where the people who come buy a ticket and they get to go in and kind of like sample all of it? Is that the way it goes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct. And last year we had 18 pitmasters. This year coming up in 26 will be our 5th year. We're probably going to have 25, could have more, and just building that program into something that is huge for really Charlotte, to put Charlotte barbecue on the map, but again just keeps that narrative pushing forward of we had people from Virginia, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and East Tennessee this year. Next year it'll probably be right around the same those 4 or 5 states. We haven't really branched out too far, but just it's all about North Carolina barbecue.
Is there a competitive judging aspect to it? Okay, this is just a celebration of what everybody's doing.
There's 2 barbecue cultures. There's the competition side, which is just a bunch of, there's a couple of things you can do in life. You can own a boat and fish, you can golf, or you can do competitive barbecue. Either way, it's a lot of money.
Right.
And no slight against it.
Sure.
I mean, competition barbecue is intense. They're maniacs when it comes to their stuff. And I actually went this past year and participated, and it was a lot of fun. But then there's, restaurant owners, right? We do a lot of charity work. We like to get together and cook and talk and, stay up all night and shoot the shit over a whole hog or a couple of briskets. And that's the culture of the guys that come to the barbecue festival.
Where can people learn more about the Carolina Barbecue Festival? Have you got a website?
Yeah, CarolinaBBQFest.org.
I mean, just Google Carolina Barbecue Festival, right? That'll get you there. And then Sweet Lew's Barbecue at 923 Belmont Avenue. Are you open every day?
7 days.
All right, 7 days a week. Well, let's leave it there. Lou Donald, thank you so much for being with me today on the Charlotte Ledger podcast.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
That's it for today. Thanks for listening. This episode was produced by Lindsay Banks. You can find out more about the Charlotte Ledger by visiting thecharlotteledger.com.
QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com.